Have you ever noticed that some companies say all the right things, but sometimes they still feel off? You can't quite put your finger on it. The website looks good. The marketing sounds good. The mission statement says all the right things, but the company just still feels off. And I think I know why. And I think it comes down to one idea. Your brand becomes the stuff that you tolerate. And I I think there's a massive misunderstanding around branding. And honestly, I get it. I understand why. Because when most people hear the word branding, they think of logos. They think of colors, fonts, taglines, maybe a website, stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, all of those things do matter in a big way, but they are not really the brand as a whole. They are representations of the brand. The actual brand is something much bigger. And I was thinking about this recently because I've noticed a pattern. Whenever I come across a company that feels off, or a company that feels really strong for that matter, it almost always or it almost never comes down to the marketing, which is crazy. It comes down to what they tolerate as a company. And that's where this idea comes from. Your brand eventually becomes the stuff that you tolerate. Now, that might sound a little bit dramatic at first, but think about it. Every company says things. Every company says that they care about the customers or quality matters to them. Every company says things like they're committed to excellence, or they're different. The question isn't what they say, though. The question is what they allow. Because there's a gap between what a company claims and what it tolerates. And over time, customers stop believing that claim. They start believing the behavior. For example, let's say a company says customer service is one of their core values. And it's on the website, it's on the mission statement, it's on all of their onboarding material. Everybody's talking about it. But then a customer has a problem. They reach out and nobody gets back to them. Or maybe somebody does and they just get passed around. Or maybe they get treated like they're a burden. Well, the customer doesn't care what the website says at that point. The customer believes the experience. And that's true everywhere. The logo might say one thing and reality says another. The customer always believes the reality. And I think this gets missed because inside a company, everything's broken up into all these departments, right? You have marketing, customer service, operations, shipping, legal, finance, HR, all of these departments, right? Everybody has their own lane. But customers don't see departments. Customers see one company, one brand. If shipping screws something up, the customer doesn't think, oh, shipping dropped the ball. They think the company dropped the ball. If customer service handles something poorly, they don't think customer service failed. They think the company failed. From the customer's perspective, all of those departments are one thing. They're all the brand. And that is why I think branding is so much bigger than marketing. Marketing can make all the promises, but the rest of the company has to keep it. Otherwise, the promise becomes meaningless. In fact, I would argue that most branding conversations happen inside of marketing meetings, but most branding damage happens somewhere else. It happens when standards slip, when corners get cut, when things start to get tolerated. When someone says, yeah, that's not ideal, but it's probably fine. Because every tolerated behavior eventually becomes a customer experience. And every customer experience eventually becomes the brand. That's why some companies seem to have incredibly loyal customers. It's not because they have a better logo. It's not because they have a better slogan. It's because they consistently reinforce the same experience. They say something, and then they do it, and then they do it again and again. And eventually, people trust them. And on the flip side, you've probably interacted with companies that look amazing on the surface. Great marketing, beautiful website, fantastic social media, and then actual experience was disappointing. That's because the brand and the behavior weren't aligned. And alignment is what creates trust. This idea becomes even more important now because everyone has access to the same tools now. Everyone can use AI, which means everyone can create content, everyone can launch ads, and everyone can build a decent looking website. The barrier to creating marketing has never been lower, which means experience becomes even more important. Because eventually the customer gets past the marketing. And when they do, all that's left is what you tolerate. So if I had to simplify this whole idea into one sentence, it would be this. Your brand is not what you say. Your brand is what you tolerate. Because every tolerated behavior eventually becomes the customer experience. And every customer experience eventually becomes your reputation. And whether you intended it or not, that reputation becomes your brand. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Leave your questions in the comments. Hopefully you'll subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week.